It's a great privilege to be with you guys this morning. My name is Okonla Ayobami from the National Institute for Sports. So I'm here with my team. They are coaches in fitness and training conditioner, coaches in training from the NIS. And we are here this morning basically to educate and advocate against doping in sports. So it's a sensitization campaign against doping in sports. And like I said, it's a very great honor and a very great privilege to be among talent and future stars. And the education against doping in sports has to start now. So I thank the management of Box2Box Football Club for the privilege to speak with the boys. And this particular campaign has been sponsored by FFLifestyle, which is a gym wear clothing line of Fab Luxury. And we have some merchandise here, which we'll give to the coach after the program as well. So they are saying young talents have no business with drug in sports. Future stars have no business doping in sports. And according to the World Anti-Doping Agency, the time to start now is when you are just coming up now, before you become elite, before you become professionals. So what I is saying, instead of testing young athletes for doping now, test their knowledge first. So young athletes do not need to be tested at this stage for doping. What they need at this point in time is education. Educate them against drugs, educate them against doping. And that is what we are doing now. The reason is very simple. Because before you become a professional, before you become elite athletes, you have to have the knowledge now. So that when you become professionals in future, you will not be found wanting. So doping simply means taking prohibited substances or prohibited drugs or prohibited methods in order to gain undue advantage over other competitors. But the World Anti-Doping Agency is saying the advocacy should be clean sports, playing true, without drug, without any form of cheating. There is no integrity in actually taking drugs. There is no integrity in cheating to win. So that is what the World Anti-Doping Agency and the National Institute for Sport is saying. Clean sports and play true. So this morning with my team would educate and sensitize us on why we should actually avoid doping in sports. One, it is detrimental to our health. It can be harmful to our health. And then number two, it goes against the spirit of sportsmanship. It does not promote friendliness or sportsmanship in sports. And then like I said earlier on, cheating goes against the integrity of sports. So it does not promote integrity, it does not promote the spirit of sportsmanship. So to continue from this particular section, I will welcome Coach Akinjo to introduce us to the anti-doping rules and the violations. Thank you.
Thank you. Good to see you. Here, let me introduce the topic. It says the anti-doping rules violation. That is, how can you find yourself wanting for if you wanting in one way or the other for this anti-doping policy? Number one is the presence of prohibited substance in a player's sample. What they mean by this is that when the WADA, that is what the anti-doping agency, when they call you for test, that is if they find the sample whether in your urine or in your blood, so they will kick against the player. The next one is the using or attempted use of a prohibited substance or method. That is when they find you that you are not using it, but attempt to use it, they will find the person wanting. The next one is that when you refuse or failing to submit to sample collection. That is what they mean by this is that when the WADA call you for sample collection and you refuse, you say, I'm not going. It's a offense that is, they will never forgive this player. The next one is that tampering or attempted tampering with doping control. That is when they have collected your blood or your urine. You now say, let me mix something. Let me mix water with the urine. The moment you do that, it's against their rules. Possession of prohibited substance or method. That is what they mean by this is that when you have it in your possession, whether in your pocket, whether in your room, or any place that you related with, the moment they find it, it's against the player. Another one is the trafficking or attempted trafficking of prohibited substance. That is when you are carrying from one place to another, whether it's in your pocket, in your bag, you are trying to move it from one place to another. It's against the rules. Next one is a complicity or attempted complicity. That is what they mean by this, is that a complicity or attempted complicity is an anti-doping rules violation. That is what they mean. That is that your coach condole it, he prevent you, or the athlete, condole it. They say, let me just cover him up, or the coach is trying to cover the player up. The moment they discover that the player or the coach is doing like that, is against the rules of the WADA. Prohibited association with athletes, support personnel who have been banned. What they mean by this is that maybe they have banned one player, and you are moving, or you are a friend to that particular player. It's against their rules too. Fail to provide accurate and up-to-date whereabout information. That is, at every point in time, you allow your coach, those in authority, to know your whereabouts at every point in time. Maybe you already travel abroad, you are coming to Nigeria, you let them know your whereabouts at every point in time. Another one is that tampering with a manipulating the result of a test. That is, after the test, you are trying to change, you are trying to manipulate it. It is against the WADA's rules. So at the end of the day, I will let you to know that what anti-doping agencies, that is, anytime you want to eat, or you want to take any supplement or anything, that means you want to take drugs, you allow your nutritionist or sport doctor to be aware. Don't just take anything. Don't say, no. Because the moment they detect anything from your sample, whether your blood or your urine, is against the player. Thank you so much. God bless you.
All right, so in essence, what she's trying to tell us is that it is not only when a doping has been found in your urine or your blood that doping occurs. There are 11 anti-doping rules. So any violation, breaking of any of the 11 anti-doping rules is a form of doping in sport. And like she rightly said, your team or yourself should work with a sport doctor or a sport nutritionist, because there are certain substances which you might take and you might not know that these substances have been banned by WADA. I'll give an example, which is a very popular one. Caffeine. Caffeine is a product that is usually found in cola drinks like Pepsi, Coca-Cola, chocolate, coffee, and the likes. At the moment, caffeine has not been banned, has not been prohibited by WADA. But WADA is saying, if we find caffeine at a certain level in your bloodstream or your urine sample, it becomes a doping substance. So you see why it is tricky. So WADA is not saying don't take caffeine, don't take Coca-Cola, don't take chocolate. But when you take these products and caffeine gets to a certain level in your bloodstream that it should not go beyond, then it becomes a doping substance. So that is why, as young athletes, as a team, you might need to work with a sport doctor or a sport nutritionist to actually guide what you eat and what you drink. As much as possible, I advise young athletes, good food, adequate diet, balanced diet should be the real deal. At this point in time, you might not need any form of supplements or any form of drug. Take balanced diet, take adequate nutrition. So I will welcome our coach, Adriologia, to inform us on some of the consequences of doping.
My name still remains Coach Solomon, and I'm here to talk about the consequences of doping. In as much you have found wanting of taking any substances, either by drinking or by eating, and they now tested you or they sample you, you now know that you have taken something that is against the rules of WADA. If they found wanting, I want to ask some question. How many of us know Pogba, former Manchester United player? Few years back, I think 2 years now, he was found wanting of taking a substance that is against WADA. He was banned for 4 years. As a professional player, how will you take that? For you to be banned for 4 years. And later on, he went to court, now reduced the penalty to 2 years. Now he has finished the 2 years. next season now he will resume back to his professional career. So this is the knowledge we want to inculcate into you young players, because you know that you guys, you are going places. So you need to have all this knowledge, know the consequence, because as a professional player, ignorance is not an excuse. You did, after taking sample, you did not know that it's in your drinks or it's in your food. No, there is no excuses for you don't know. So for we to be here now, we want to sensitize you and for you to know that these are the consequences you will face in case knowingly or unknowingly you take any substances, any drinks, any food that is prohibited by WADA. So I'll be narrowing my consequence into three aspects. The first aspect is the consequence to the sport. Because you as a football player, if you have found one thing of doping, as we all know that doping is you gaining or you taking a prohibited substance to gain an undue advantage over your competitors, maybe over the other teams. That means it will have effect. It will have a bad consequence on the sport of that competition. Maybe a league, you are in a league, and you are now found you are using doping substance to gain an undue advantage. There won't be much, maybe sponsors for the competition because they know that they are cheating. So this normal English they will use is these players they are cheating. So why would I need to invest in this competition? So this is one of the consequences of you finding one thing of doping. So number two is it reduces fans' trust and loyalty of the competition, even to the player. If they know that you are cheating because you take a drug to gain an undue advantage, there is no fair play in that again. Because anytime you want to play any competition, they will ask you this fair play as a friend, let your people enjoy you. Let's game. Loss of sponsorship and revenue. Those companies that is sponsoring such a competition, they won't have interest in such a competition again. They will just lose it. So the second aspect is consequent to the teams. You as a player, if you have found one thing of any prohibited substance taken through what you drink or through what you eat, they will sanction you. The way they sanction for 4 years, they will sanction such a player. So we need to be cognizant of whatever we take right from our local level before we reach that top that we are aiming to get to. So we going against those things that WADA have take as a rule not to take, you'll be sanctioned and it can jeopardize your career. So the last one I want to talk about is, because of our time, is health. You will see some of our players that they have played for Nigeria or for other clubs or for other countries. After their professional career, after a few years, you see they have heart attack. Most of them, not all, not everybody, but most of them is because of what they have taken during their active time. Is now having effect on their health. It can be result to a cardiovascular problems. It can result to heart attack, liver damage. So by these 3 points that I have already mentioned, I believe that we must have knowledge of how we need to take cognizance of what to take, cognizance of what to drink, cognizance of what we are eating, so that it will not affect our professional career. Thank you and God bless.
All right. So in conclusion, please, I will encourage us to keep up with WADA's regulation, and then I will also encourage us to please move close to our coaches. Our coaches should be like our role models, our parents. So if you have any particular question or any particular problem, feel free to move with your coaches. They should be able to provide adequate information. And then I will also encourage our coaches to please be involved in the life cycle of your players. Be involved in the kind of friends they move with. Be involved with the kind of people they actually move with. So that you will probably find them moving with one or two companies that could actually be a kind of peer pressure for them to take a particular drug. You'll be able to draw them back to yourself. So they should see you as their fathers, as their parents, that they can easily walk up to and say anything and ask questions, and then you'll be able to guide and direct them. And then please, there is a particular application by the World Anti-Doping Agency which we can also benefit from. It is called Anti-Doping Education Learning, ADEL. You can find it on the iOS store or the Google Play Store. So you can also download it, ADEL by WADA, Anti-Doping Education Learning. So that particular application will give us more information on why we should avoid doping, what we should do as young athletes, what we should take, what we should eat as young athletes, and how we can get to that stage where the likes of Tolu, Arokodare, and Victor Osimhen are right now. So if you have access to a phone and the internet, you can also download Adele by WADA and get some of this information. So please, it will be our joy to see you at the top, where the likes of Tolu, where the likes of Victor are. And then we will not want to hear that a particular player has been found wanting because of drugs. So it is my prayer that we will also get to that stage and also become stars for this particular nation. So thank you very much for the audience.